Hey, everybody. So, I don't know if you've been watching the series Pam and Tommy on Hulu, which is about the whole fiasco of Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee when they made a personal sex tape on their honeymoon. And then someone stole it, a contractor, and out of spite, he decided to put it out there and make money out off of it. And so this is the story of how that it all came to be and what was the end result. And it's kind of cool in that it takes place before the internet is just a very beginning thing. This is in essence the first viral video. It's also it's not the first sex tape ever made, but it's the first sex tape that was put out there publicly, and it was truly not with their permission. There was a court case. You can't pretend to put out an accidentally released sex tape and then go to court over it and stick to that lie. It doesn't work that way because there's paperwork behind those things, even though they're oops, I don't know what happened. No, there's lighting, there's paperwork, there's direction, there's a script, there's all of this stuff. And yeah, there's NDAs when they make those. But this one was, they were just having fun. These were home movies. It was their honeymoon. Stuff happened with the camera. And then a disgruntled contractor got a hold of it and put it out there. And they had no say on taking it down. That was the part that was really, it was bad enough it was out there, but then on top of it, not to be able to say anything. So I will put a link below if you want to see what I have to say about the first few episodes that I watched. Had a lot of mixed feelings, and I wasn't overly enthusiastic about some of the performances of the two lead characters and some of the content. That there was just too much of it in the first two episodes, and story points that they could have been covering maybe could have utilized that time. But what are you going to do? I felt like they are playing them a little bit more caricaturish, and I don't think it's a choice. It could be a choice, but the fact that other people are characters, they really are characters, but the performances are coming from a genuine organic place that you've met that one and that one and that one. We've all met that character. As for Pamela and Tommy Lee, there's just that little something. It does not feel like these are real people, that they are the people we see on TV. Could that be a directorial and acting choice? Sure. But since you are talking about, in essence, the end result is you are talking about the story of a woman who was basically, I don't know if I could say violated on YouTube. Anyway, on public display and humiliated for the world to see what she did in the privacy of her own home. Yes, there was a camera there, but still, it was not meant for public consumption. And it does not matter that she posed nude for Playboy and did stuff like that. She never did porn, but she did do nudity. But that's different. That's your own choice. And that's way different than private, intimate, sexual moments with your husband, no matter how wild it gets. You did not give permission for everybody to see that. So is it going to be a similar experience? It's not the same experience to an actual SA, but it is a similar experience in that, I'm just going to say it, violation is the key to all of those things. So that's the story we were watching. So that's where I feel like a more genuine performance with the character aspect there, of course, because they were character-like people. They just are. That's part of why they're so intriguing and so fun to watch. I'm not talking about in the sex tape. I mean, just anything else they've ever done in life. That's part of the charm of Pamela and Tommy Lee. It just always was. And I don't know. For me, not even like, yes, as an audience member, but I know part of me as a filmmaker is being probably a little bit more picky here. I just think you do a better service to that storyline, because yes, it's the story about the sex tape and what happened and how it took off and the first viral video and blah 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 blah. But at the end of the day, because they are also telling the story of how this affected her, then I really think we need to feel that as an audience. There's a saying that some filmmakers have, that you want to hurt the audience when you're making a film, and by that it means if you want them to laugh, you need to make them laugh. If you want to make them cry, you need to make them cry. If it's a really sad scene of someone dying, the way you put it together and the performances that are there need to evoke that emotion in people. And if you don't have it coming from inside of somebody, people know, they could see it. It's disingenuous. Are there performances that don't come deep inside and still work? Yes, but it depends what the material is. Something like this, when she realizes she's put on display for the world to see, especially being an SA survivor herself. So that means that wound gets reopened. That means that this is not a first-time trauma. It's a trauma for that incident, but it's also a reopening an old trauma. I don't know. I think we should see, what would that reaction be, that moment? What is that moment? Not just a frozen face, not just and the actress is very talented. There are plenty of reasons why this could be happening. Number one, they're trying to cast someone that could be made to look like Pamela Anderson. And there is a saying that you should choose the acting over the visuals. Okay, easier said than done, depending on what you're going for. So, of all the actresses they looked into casting, who was able to embody her and come across like her and really pull off 90% of this? Okay, she's doing a great job with that. I mean, she really is. She does have her essence. We're just talking, it's more the deep dramatic stuff that she's having a little bit of trouble with, and also a little bit of Pamela's comedic side. I don't see that there. And that's the thing, is when you see Pamela upset or uncomfortable, she still has a way of having a tiny bit of sense of humor layered into things, some kind of a little clever comment or something, the way she plays things off. It's just her by nature trying to utilize humor in a way to deal with an uncomfortable or difficult time. So that might very well be a writing problem and a directorial problem. But even as an actress, even if that dialogue is not there, if you study the person, you can still find a way to bring that stuff in, even if it's with your inflections. Just there's ways to bring that stuff in there. Now, why might these things not be happening? Is it that she's not talented? No, she's a very talented actress. Do not take this the wrong way. It could be that she just either isn't able to go there. Because remember, if you're going to have if your character is going to have a traumatic moment, you have to imagine what that would be like and either reach from something inside of you that happened to you, or try and take something inside of you or a few things and reassemble them, and then try to empathize with something else and put all this stuff together and draw that out. Now, if you've not had some severe trauma in your life, experience like that, anything that just makes you feel exposed in a way that destroys your soul. If you haven't had something like that, good luck. Easier said than done. Just, when people play someone who have lost a child, that's another one where I've seen some actors pull that one off beautifully, and that they're able to get that primal scream out. That it's a certain response from a parent that's gone through a trauma like that. Most people don't pull that one off right. Um, Movies where you see, the big bad creature, and it's like, the King Kong or or Godzilla, anything where suddenly it comes out of the ground and someone's standing there, and everyone's reaction is always, no, I'm sorry, that is not a genuine reaction to, a 30-foot in your mind monster in front of you that you have no idea. Are you about to die? Those reactions are, there's a green screen. I'm trying my best to do my best job at this, but it's just not coming across. And that's a very common one, because your job as an actor is really tough. You are using your imagination to create a situation, to create a person, to create every person. And what are your responses to one another? Also, you have to respond to things. And if the people you're working with aren't doing the best job, or let's say the set isn't the best, the director, there's all sorts of things that don't give someone something to respond to in the way that really triggers them. And then that actor has to do more of the work to compensate. Are there people that can still do a brilliant job? Of course there are. There's always the people who are the best. There are the people that are in the middle, and there are the people the other side, and there are people that shouldn't. Maybe this is not the job for you. Is it possible that she was not given enough time to really get into this whole thing? This is possible. This is highly possible, because think about, first of all, just a shooting day, playing Pamela Anderson. They have to do the hair, the makeup. They are putting prosthetics on her. When she's running around naked, those are all prosthetics. We're talking a lot of hours to just visually get her ready. And is she being given the opportunity to mentally get into the place she needs to be for all the different scenes? What are they shooting that day? Could some of the other stuff have been they shot that first and she wasn't there yet? She just, because of all the technical aspects of that shoot, maybe she just didn't get into those the way she needed to yet, or she's new to the character. Because sometimes that happens when day one of shooting, the performances look way different than the last day of shooting. The last day of shooting makes you go, I want to go back and reshoot some of those beginning scenes, because there would for sure be a different performance, because the actor has really gotten a chance to get to know that character, as have, all the people working with them. The director and the actors have gotten their flow down of what they're doing. So that's why some scenes, when they're a crucial scene, like losing a baby, being exposed to the world, all of these big scenes, sometimes those are not best done first. Like the scene that is supposed to affect your audience the most isn't always the scene to be shooting the first day. Now, there might be reasons why the scenes were scheduled in the order they were. I don't know any background on how they put it together. I'm just giving you possibilities of what could be. Because to say an actor is not the best actor, that's not fair. There's so much involved in shooting that the best actor can have challenging times, especially with a role where it's someone that is so different than you. Their walk, the way they talk, their voice, the register of their voice, just every little thing, to become a completely different human being in every way. That's a lot. So, and then the day of shooting is no longer about the performance. It should be, that would be perfect, but it is about the technical aspects of the performance. So that makes it more of a challenge for an actor to really get into their head and stay there, because you've got all these interruptions. You know, are these scenes, when they're that crucial, do you have 50 million people on the set, or did the director say, okay, I need only the people that need to be here, because the actor needs to really focus? Like if you do a sex scene, if you do certain dramatic scenes, that's when you really want to clear the room. You're like, I need whoever's operating the camera and the sound. Like, I really don't want anyone. When I've shot scenes like that, I make it very few people. It's less than a handful of people. It's just easier on the actors to be able to do scenes like that, because then they're not worried about what other people are doing, or are there people in the room? Like, it's a scene where someone's got to cry and someone's joking around, and it's like, no. When they get into that dark state, they got to stay there, and you've got to keep them there, you know? So there's so many reasons why this could be happening. I'm hoping as it moves along, she's going to be able to reach deeper inside. I'm hoping. I would like to see that. I think it, and there's a reason why I say that. The story that is being told of what happened to a woman and the gross, unfair things that happen as a result of this theft. I mean, theft is a violation in itself, let alone everything that came after that. Forget about that she's Pamela Anderson. Forget about anything you think about her. For any woman, any man who's been a victim of any kind of circumstance, this story can mean something to people. So the performance actually makes a difference when you're trying to deal, there's a cause for something. You want to spark a conversation to make a difference and make people see, to listen to people differently when they talk about how a situation made them felt, a situation like that. The fact that she had to go on all these TV interviews and it couldn't be discussed in a serious nature. There was a lot of joking around about it. I remember when all of this was happening, and it was really unfair. And yeah, the way Tommy Lee received attention on it was like he was a god. And for her, I'm not saying that she wasn't treated as a goddess as a result of this, but it definitely was different. It was more she was the butt of the joke and he was the god. Like, oh, you got her and look at what she did. And she was almost to blame, and she should just expect this, and why should she be upset? It was definitely not treated like a crime. It was not treated that way. They were actually blamed and punished for that, her more than him. And not that men can't suffer from that kind of thing. Of course, you cannot, there's no contest on these things. Not ever. But there is a different experience for how she was being portrayed and how he was being portrayed. Now, he may not have personally felt the same that she did, but if it were me and it was my spouse, I would feel horrible that this was happening to them. Did he recognize it? I don't know. Did it make him feel guilty because he's the one that suggested, hey, let's have some fun and film something? But there were consequences to both of them. There were unfair things that were to both of them. And this probably helped nothing in their personal relationship. Why would it be a positive thing in the relationship? So I'm hoping that this series does more than tell a fun, interesting, sensational story for an audience. I hope there's a bigger message that comes out of it, and how they tell it, which just seems like they're trying to go in that direction, is important. But how it's performed also says how the audience is going to respond to it. Is the audience going to go, ooh, that was very delicious and naughty, and we watched it and that was exciting? Or are they also going to feel, oh my God, how hard? Like, are they going to feel sick in their stomach for her and feel like that should never happen to anybody? We should listen to victims in a different way than we've been trained to. I don't know if we're getting that part. I would like to think we would. And as I said in the previous video, I am bothered that they did not have her seal of approval on doing this project. Are they allowed to? Yes, she's a public figure and there are loopholes all over the place for that. Could you say, well, did they read her book and it's really they're taking stuff from her book and making it? So could she sue for that? Oh, I'm sure they've worked out their legal loopholes to go, oh, well, you know, it was all over the place. And yes, I read the book, but we made up our own version of the whole thing. And then we created other stuff in between. So it's no longer, it's not exactly your book. And therein lies the loophole. My understanding is this is re-traumatized Pamela Anderson. Why would it not? I hope people are going to be kind to her and supportive and help empower her. And that in the end, even though they should have tried in every way, shape, or form to get her permission, that they're still going to do right by her. Because at the end of the day, this is the story about a trauma that happened to her. And this is a problem I have with Hollywood when they don't remember that when we're talking about a real person and they want to take creative license and, oh, yeah, but it'd be more fun to tell it this way. And then they change a bunch of details that are like, no, but that's not how it went. And you're missing the point. Write a fictional story. You can create something that's inspired by, but, you know, but when you're telling someone's actual story, I feel like there's a lot of disrespect that goes along with that in movie making land, TV making land. So we will see. And that's why I think, did there have to be sex scenes? No, there never has. I mean, unless it's porn, there doesn't have to be sex scenes. They don't move the story forward. They're not plot points per se. I mean, there's the plot point of that they had sex, but then the showing of it, well, obviously because of who they are, the fact that there is a sex tape, are they going to do that? And that's the fluff. That's the fun stuff for an audience. It's the stuff an audience, in this case, would want there. I understand it. I do. I just think you still could have had it. You just didn't have so much of it and so much of them being on ecstasy and just, I love you. And you still could have put more interesting content information in there so we could learn more about them. That's the thing, is I feel like there was so much of it that we lost valuable time to learn other things about them. One of the things we have not learned about her thus far, maybe they're going to get there, is, like I said, she's an SA survivor. Me personally, I think this would be an important detail to have in there, because then when this happens, you know, there's a re-traumatization. You know, so maybe they will go and get there. Maybe they're trying to build into us learning about all these traumas and seeing more. Maybe. I don't know. Or maybe it's going to keep the same tone. But me personally, I'm not afraid to mix comedy and drama. And I think it's important because that's life. Life has all of these aspects together. If you look at an apartment building and you look at all the windows in it, in every single window, a different thing is happening simultaneously. That's life. That's what happens in life. So when you're doing a film, there's no reason that you can't have all these elements and still have that fun style that you're looking for to tell your story. They could still do it and have it go to a very serious, dark place without being camp. You know, it's not as camp as it's not obnoxious camp, but it is there. It is serious, but it's not as dramatic as it needs to be in certain moments. Not the whole film, obviously. But we will see what happens. You know, it could be a bunch of technical stuff got in the way of it being where it needs to be, or these could be choices we're never going to know. But let's see how it goes. I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think about how this is affecting Pamela Anderson. Is there something that should be done to make this right for Pamela Anderson? Or is everyone just happy with it as a project and they're forgetting about her? They used her story to make this project, but are they trying to do something right for people that go through a situation like this on any level, and also her? Or did they just get a really fun story to tell and that's all they've got out of it? So I'm curious to hear what you think about it. Thanks.